Happy Tuesday, friends. Today for vocabulary, we're going to review our words from yesterday and write down their sentences, synonyms, and antonyms to help us remember them better. Make sure you have completed Monday's lesson so you have definitions already down. And let's get started today. To review, let's go over our 5 new words. We have maximum, minimum, bellow, decade, century. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Remember, we talked about maximum or max being the highest amount. Our sentence for us is, you are allowed to have a maximum of 2 books in your desk. You are allowed to have a maximum of 2 books in your desk. So the highest amount of books allowed in your desk is 2. Okay, 2. Maximum is highest amount. Our synonyms would be greatest, most, highest. Greatest, most, highest. So the greatest amount of books, the most amount of books, or the highest amount of books is 2. They all have the same meaning. Greatest, most, highest. Opposites or antonyms would be minimum, which is our next word, least, lowest, smallest. So the opposite of greatest is least, opposite of most is lowest, opposite of highest, smallest. So you're going to be looking at small amounts are the opposite for maximum. All right, so max is the most or the highest amount. You are allowed to have a maximum of 2 books in your desk. Synonyms are greatest, most, highest. Antonyms, minimum, least, lowest, smallest. And that leads us to our next word, minimum, which was lowest amount. You should read for a minimum of 30 minutes each day. Minimum of 30 minutes means no less than 30 minutes. So the lowest amount or minimum, you should read for a minimum of 30 minutes each day. Our synonyms or similar meaning words would be least, lowest, smallest. So the minimum amount would be least, lowest, or smallest. Leaving our antonyms as maximum, our previous word, greatest, most, and highest. So you probably noticed for maximum and minimum, we literally just switched the synonyms and antonyms because those 2 words are exact opposites of each other. All right, our next word that we learned was bellow, which was to holler loudly. Our sentence, you can hear the cow bellow from across the farm. You can hear the cow bellow from across the farm. So you can hear the cow hollering or mooing loudly from across the farm, so from far away. Synonyms are holler, yell, or shout. They're all synonyms or meaning similar words to bellow, holler, yell, or shout. Okay, then the opposite or the antonyms would be whisper or murmur. So if I'm not going to holler or bellow, I'm going to whisper or murmur. So quiet talking. All right, and our next word is decade, which was a period of 10 years. The happy couple celebrated a decade of marriage, so 10 years. The happy couple celebrated a decade of marriage, 10 years. The happy couple celebrated a decade of marriage. Synonym would just be 10. There isn't a whole lot of synonyms. You're either saying decade or you're saying 10. And there is no antonyms. There is nothing that is the opposite of 10 or opposite of decade. So NA means that there is none. You can just put none or just leave it blank if you'd like to. Or NA means not applicable. So decade is 10, and our last word is century, which was 100. We have far more technology now than they did a century ago. So technology meaning computers and phones and washers and dryers. Think about 100 years ago. What a difference. We have far more technology now than they did a century ago. And our synonym is going to be 100. And just like decade, there is no antonym for century. So we've got some number problems this week. We have maximum versus minimum, so the most and the least. And then we have decade of 10, century of 100. And in between that, we have bellowing or yelling and hollering. Those are our new words. You will have a quiz over those words and last week's words on Friday. I will see you tomorrow for Wow Word Wednesday.